Well, good morning, afternoon or evening, depending on where you're from and when you're watching. My name is Jenny McCormack. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the market town of Brackley, which is near Silverstone, the Formula One racing circuit in Northamptonshire in the UK. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're joining live, do say hi and let me know that you're here. It's always nice to know who is watching. I'll just put that light on. It's a beautiful, bright, sunny day here, but a very, very sharp frost. So we'll see what happens with the rest of the day. If you're watching live, as I said, do pop a comment on to let me know that you're here. If you have any queries or questions, you can pop those in the comment section. And if you're watching on catch up, then you can do the same. You can pop a comment in on the YouTube comment section, or you can do the same here on Facebook. And I do try and go back to check on those. Occasionally I do miss one, so if you do have a question, just repost it and it should pop up on my system. If you joined me yesterday evening, goodness me, it was Tuesday, we created this card using this lovely new stamp set called Petal Park, as you can see. This is an image only stamp set. There is a coordinating stamp set that has lots of sentiments that go with it. And this was the card that we created. Hi Jeanette, good morning to you. And this is the background paper from the Regency Park paper pack. Really pretty florals, mostly blues and pale pinks. So we've got petal pink, we've got Balmy blue, night of navy. They're the main colours, and a little bit of mango melody in there. So for this card, I stamped just this element here and the flowers, and I layered the two. So I had the outline in night of navy and the infill in Balmy blue. You could also just stamp the outline and fill in with blend pens, and that's what I did on my little sample card here. Was I just stamped in night of navy and filled it in. So if you prefer to do some colouring in, then you can use all of the outline images and colour those in. Hi Fran. I used the sentiment just for you from Celebrating You, and then I added those lovely little flowers, just these little ones here, on the back of the envelope, which I coloured in afterwards on the front of the envelope and on the inside. So a really sweet floral card. Hi Kerry. Good early morning to you. And no, it's not early morning for you, is it? Oh dear. It's late afternoon. And this die here is from the Scallop Contours die set. So today I'm going to be using the coordinating punch, this one here, and this punches out the 3 flowers and a leaf. So there is a separate leaf stamp that you can use, or you could just punch from coloured card. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the flowers today. I'm not going to use the larger element. I'll probably use some of the leaves. And I'm going to stamp these on a separate piece of card and punch those out. And I'm sticking with blues. I will switch to pink tomorrow, I promise. This is another from that Regency Park papers. So you can see there's a little bit of coral, petal pink, mango melody and night of navy. But I'm sticking with the blue, and only because I happen to have left over from a recent class in a box a silver oval frame. This is from the Fitted Florets, and a Balmy blue piece of card that's come out from the inside. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to stamp my sentiment in here and then stamp and punch flowers to put around the outside. That's my plan anyway. So let's get cracking. I think I might have, I've got one set of flowers. So what I like to do to make the most of a punch that punches out multiple shapes is I measure the height of this element here. So I just get a ruler and measure this. If you want it in inches, it's about, well, you can measure the hole here, aperture, 2.5 inches. And that means that I know that I can just slot this piece of card in and it will fit all the way along without having to cut it down. So let's get stamping. And I might do a mixture of some just outlines, some infills and some together. And what you need to look at is the way that this the punch sits. So if I line up my stamps like that, I know that if I just turn that over and stamp it, when I come to punch they will be roughly in the right position. Don't have to be exact, but what you don't want to do is have them sort of at an odd angle and then trying to put your punching in all different areas. It is confusing, Kerry. I should know that you're ahead of us. And Fran's behind. Okay, so let's see. I'm just going to do a whole bunch of them and then cut them out and have a look. So I know that the little flower is at the top. So I'm going to do one of those. I'm not using a mat underneath. I could do. Let's do that just to get us started. Oh yes, 5 o'clock in the morning. Yes, bless you, Fran. Oh dear, one day I'll keep up with everybody. Right, here's the infill, and I've got Balmy blue here. And I seem to remember that this was quite inky yesterday, so I'm just going to move a little bit of this colour across. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to do one as an infill. I'll take my glasses off. See what I'm doing. Like so. Okay, I'm going to leave one plain. I'm going to do one with some lens pens just quickly. Just so I've got a variation really in the flowers. I don't know how many I need. Oh, bless you, Kerry. Yeah, but I like to sort of, you know, acknowledge that it's crack of dawn or whatever. But thank you. Maybe I'll save myself some aggravation. Take your note on board. Okay, so just a little bit of Balmy blue in there. So I'm going to lift this up to the screen in a second so you can see the difference. And add that. I do like a stamp set, especially flowers, that have a matching punch, because it just makes it so quick to put together a card. You can just punch them out. Obviously you could fussy cut these as well, I think definitely where you've got, you know, more detailed elements, it's definitely quicker to punch them out. So I'm going to just do this one with the centres, like so, and then I'm just going to do one of these, this one here. Okay, so I may need some more. Let's just see how that goes to start with. Okay, so I hope everybody is well. Okay, so let's punch these out. So just taking a little bit of time to get that centrally in line, like so. Yeah. And here's the white ones. So just mind you don't catch your hands when you're punching, because you really do need to hold it this way. I mean, you could turn it over once you've got it lined up, like so. You can squeeze it to hold it in place and then turn it over, but it's very easy to catch your fingers if you're not careful. Morning, Wendy. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're keeping well. Alright, so I should have 3, 3 and 3. We do. Okay. Now the other thing I'm going to do is, let's see, I don't know if we need leaves or not. Let's have a look. So those are my flowers to get started. This is going to go onto here. So this is Night of Navy. I wanted something fairly plain. So I've cut this to 10 centimetres by 14.35, just as a small layer. Okay, popping that onto the front of our basic white card. Somebody asked me the other day at Coffee and Card what the difference is between basic white and whisper white. So whisper white was our original name for our white card. You had whisper white thick and whisper white standard. I used to call it thin, not that it was thin, but just to differentiate it. But the supplier of that card went out of business, and so we Stampin' Up went to a new supplier, and just to differentiate between them, although it's the same card, they now call it basic white. But if you see especially older videos or older YouTube videos, and it's probably, I don't know, 5 6 years since we swapped, maybe less, you may hear people talk about whisper white, but it is one and the same. Okay, so I've got my oval here from the Fitted Florets, and what I'm going to do is stamp my sentiment first and pop it on here, and then put my element around it. I may put it on dimensionals. So I've got Night of Navy. Morning, Ali. Oh, snow. Oh dear, Wendy, I thought you might have some there. I hope you don't get too much. I don't think we have any forecast here. I think because we're at sort of central, whichever direction it comes from, unless it comes from straight from the east, we are fairly well protected. I think it's sort of run out by the time it gets to us. Okay, so I've got the sentiment, life is better with friends like you, and this is from Flowers of Friendship. and I love this sentiment. So I'm going to stamp it here centrally. Like that. That gives me the option, if I've messed it up, to turn it over and redo it, which is why I've stamped it on here first, not before I attach it. And also there is a very slight difference in this oval, in that it's not exactly symmetrical. I mean, it's very, very close. But what I like to do for that reason is put this oval down first, because you can turn this one round just to make sure it fits. Now, it's literally not even ½ a millimetre difference, but for some reason it's not exactly in line. Oh, Alice got some in Shrewsbury. I'm presuming what I can see outside is frost. But maybe there is a bit of snow on there. Anyway, not very much. My daughter went to Ireland yesterday, and she sent me a video from getting out at the airport, and she was kicking the snow along. Right, I think I'm going to do this on dimensionals. Okay. So, just going to pop some of these on. Okay, my computer's just flung a message up, but I'm hoping it doesn't say that it's stopped. We'll soon find out. If I don't get any more comments, I know that it has. Okay, and then this can go on there. Now I can do this flat behind, like so, or I can do this on dimensionals as well. I think I'm going to do it on dimensionals, and you just want some little edges or mini dimensionals for this. Oh, jolly good, Wendy. I don't like it when I can just hear it ping a system message. So just going to put some mini ones around here. Oh. So this is a lovely frame and set of frames from the Fitted Florets and Framed Florets bundle, and I did a class with this one which was very successful. I think frames of any kind or ovals or anything are always just a really useful set to have in your stash. So just peeling these off carefully. Okay. Oh, thanks, Jeanette. Okay, so that's just around the edge, like so. Hopefully you can see that okay. And now what I'm going to do is put my flowers. Now I can put them all the way round. I tend to favour having bottom right, but I might put a couple top left. These are flat at the moment, so you could use a bone folder without any ink, just to curl these a little bit. So let's do it this way. And this is breaking some of the fibres in the card. Obviously if they're in an envelope they will flatten over time, but there we go. Just do these as well. Okay, how are we doing for time? Spot on. I can hear Cassie calling. She came down late for her breakfast this morning. She was still asleep when I started. So she'll have realised that she's missed her breakfast slot. Don't worry, I will feed her when I've finished. I promise. Okay, so let's do a little bit of arranging here. also we just don't know, do we? And it's difficult to know. I suspect it probably would, because it has a punch, and the investment in having punches made is obviously much greater than stamps for Stampin' Up. So I would like to think, but having said that, you know, we have had other ones that, you know, have retired pretty soon on. So I'm thinking something like that. Let me just lift this up carefully. Not that it's critical really. So what do you think? Does that look a good rough layout? Oh, thanks, Fran. So those ones are nice and easy. Let's do those first. And I'm just going to use some wet glue for those. And it's nice to have the combination. Obviously you could do these in all different colours anyway, but I do like the combination of having some of the flowers filled in, some of them plain. And that idea really was from these papers. From what you can see underneath, some of the flowers are coloured, some of them are white with a little bit of blue. So, as always, if you're looking for inspiration, look at the papers or the catalogue. I'm hoping your catalogue arrives with you today, Jeanette, depending on what your post is like at the moment. So, fingers crossed. Okay, so just placing those on there. And it's really funny because that sun must be really strong, because in the time I've sat here, my daughter's car, which is out the front, is completely defrosted, and yet when I came in it was completely white. Right, let's pop one in there to get started. And you could replicate this with all sorts of colours. That's the good thing, obviously, about the stamps rather than the papers, is that the papers dictate, unless they're neutral, very much what colours you would have. And I didn't want anything too fussy for the background, which is why I've stuck with that blue dotty. But I think this would look perfect with the pinks. For example, here, this petal pink one with pink flowers would make a really pretty one. That might be a bit much for the background, but you could definitely swap out the colours. That would work nicely as a background as well, because it's got very small flowers, but then that's rather pretty too. So the good thing about this paper is that you get 4 of each sheet. So you get 48 sheets in total. So you do get 4 of each. So you don't have to be quite as I might just tuck one in under there. So what if it needs to be a smaller one there? Yeah. Well, I'm going to have a smaller one here. In case you're wondering, I never was any good at flower arranging. Okay, I'm going to put this one in here because that's a nice contrast. And what I'm going to do is just snip the top off. Oh, a nail every day. That is impressive. So what I'm going to do is just cut this end off here. so that it tucks underneath, and then that does give me another little bit if I want it, for example, up under here. So don't waste anything. You don't have to overdo it, of course, but don't waste anything either. So just putting a little bit of glue on there, and then I'm going to tuck this under there. Let's put it there. Like that. And then this one can go in there, and it just gives the illusion of a lot more flowers, like so. I'm going to use my scissors to push that under, and that's the benefit of having the frame up on dimensionals, is you can tuck these things in, whereas if I'd stuck this frame down flat, you wouldn't be able to tuck them underneath. You'd still be able to cover them up, in my opinion, but there we go. And I think maybe just one more blue, and that leaves me a spare one that could go on the inside, or I can stamp on the inside up there, I think. So because this is going on to foiled card, you don't want to sort of mess around with it too much, because it will take a little bit longer for it to stick, because obviously it's a non-porous surface, unlike a piece of card. So my recommendation is not to handle it, just put a little bit of pressure on and then leave it. Our Tombow glue is really good, really strong, but it takes a minute. You can also let it go slightly tacky if you want. Okay, so there we go. What do we reckon? I think that's really pretty. And as I say, this set we'll be using at Coffee and Card on Friday in Brackley and on Monday. So I think, now I haven't added any leaves, but I don't think it needs it. I don't want to introduce another colour. Thank you, Kerry. I could do some blue leaves. That's what they have here. But honestly, I don't think it needs it. Oh, bless you. Oh, thank you, Ellie. Yeah, I don't think it needs. I think I'll spoil it if I add any other detail. I'm just going to pop this one on the inside. And I might put a little bit of bling in the centre. If I thought about it before, I could have added some dots or something around it. So I'm going to put a little bit of bling on there because it looks a little bit too plain, but it gets the message across, doesn't it? So let's just pop this one on the inside. And we're done. And timing is spot on. I have my days when I get that right. The problem is when you haven't you know, tried it out, you don't always know how long something's going to take. But hopefully, sometimes I go over, but half an hour seems to be a good, sensible time for people to watch. Also, if you're doing something more complicated, then a longer session is required. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to add a little bit of bling. I've got these blue gems I'm going to add in. Thanks, Jeanette. Take care, and I hope your post is a happy one. I'm just going to use some of these little lighter ones on here. I'll put one there. A larger one here. Are they thick? No, not particularly. On my finger. No, maybe 2 millimeters. But because it is up on dimensional, so potentially this could make this, I think this would be here for us in the UK a large letter. Put that one up there. There we go. Our finished card. And I will photograph yesterday's card as well and pop that up. What I tend to do is photograph the card and pop it up either later in the day or the next day, just so that spreads it out on Facebook. They don't like you posting too frequently. There we go. So thank you for joining us. That is Petal Park. And let me find it here. You can purchase the stamp set on its own. You can buy the punch on its own. So the stamp set is 22. The punch is 18. But if you buy them together, it's £36. So you get 10% discount. And anybody ordering the Petal Park stamp set and or bundle this week will get the components for all of the cards that I make. So I'll send you a little goodie bag that has the, it'll have the die cuts and everything so that you can recreate these cards if you wish. And if you buy the Petal Park stamps, punch and the papers, you can also choose a free celebration item. So that's, we always like free. I didn't do my envelope, but I would do that in the same way. You could stamp and punch out the flowers and just keep them flat, or use that little flower which is just so pretty in my mind. Okay, so thank you so much everyone. Do take care, enjoy the rest of your day, morning, afternoon, evening, depending on when you're watching. And we'll be back again tomorrow, Thursday at 7 PM. I'm going to do a colour change, I promise. And we'll do something completely different tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. Do give us a thumbs up as and when you can. And do subscribe and get notification either on Facebook and or YouTube. That always helps me. And do take care. Thank you very much everyone. Bye for now.